Join us on Tomorrow's World Today as we journey through the worlds of inspiration, creation, innovation, and production to find the ideas and technologies that are shaping our future. In this episode, we visit the world of innovation to explore how offensive and defensive tactics in cyber weaponry are protecting us from the hackers of tomorrow. From Inventionland World Headquarters, here's your host, George Davison.
Believe it or not, it was over 100 years ago that one of the first tech startups began, and they're still changing the world today. In the 1920s, they invented components for radios, and that made it more accessible for everybody, and it was big technology back then. In the 1940s, they developed jet propulsion technology. In the 1960s, they helped the world's first communication satellite go into orbit. Their work even supported the Apollo 11 mission, which put the first humans on the moon. Then, in the 1970s, their scientists found a way to send the first network email. Now that company does over $63 billion a year in revenue and employs 180,000 people. 60,000 of them are engineers, and they own 46,000 patents. That company is Raytheon Technologies, and today, some of their leading innovations are helping organizations facing cyber attacks. In the spring of 2021, Colonial Pipeline, one of the largest fuel pipelines in the United States, fell victim to a cyber attack. Hackers received access to the personal information of almost 6,000 people and caused the company to shut down its fuel distribution operations, leading to gas shortages all up and down the East Coast. Colonial ended up paying over $4 million to a criminal hacking group. Cyber attacks are unfortunately becoming more common and could have a detrimental effect on all of us who are relying on our infrastructure to live. I'm going to send Tamara to go visit with the experts at Raytheon Technologies to explore what can be done to protect us online.
Cyber attacks happen every 39 seconds, and 1 in 3 Americans are affected by these attacks every single year. In fact, since the pandemic, the FBI has reported a 300% increase in reported cybercrimes. The most hacked industries are government, retail, and technology. And it's not because these industries aren't protecting their customer records. It's because of the high level of personal identifying information found in these records. Today, I'm here at Raytheon Technologies. I'm going to be meeting with Julian Zottel, the Chief Technology Officer of Cyber Protection Solutions. Hey, you must be Julian. I'm Tamara. Thank you so much for meeting me.
Of course, nice to meet you. Welcome to Raytheon Intelligence in Space.
I am so excited to take a dive into what you do here. But before we do, I just wanted to start with a really basic question. The term cybersecurity, it gets tossed around a lot. How do you define it?
It does. It's everything from the protection of the electrical power grid all the way down to baby monitors you have at home.
Well, that's quite a range.
It is. Why don't we go and take a look?
Awesome. All right, so we've talked cybersecurity, but there's one more thing I want you to define for me.
Sure.
Cyberspace, because most of us just kind of think of it as the internet.
Right. A lot of us go home, we open up a web browser, and that's everybody's experience on the internet. But it's vastly more than that. Right here we have the major fiber optic lines going across the United States, for instance.
All right, so this is a pretty intense system, obviously, probably with a lot of vulnerabilities.
Correct.
What is Raytheon Technologies doing to keep us safe in cyberspace?
We work with a variety of customers, everybody from domestic, US government, even some international partners.
Gotcha. And what's Raytheon Technologies' special sauce?
A lot of it is bridging that last 20%. So a lot of commercial solutions hit the 80%. What we're trying to do is bridge that last 20%.
Well, I want to be 100% safe. So what are some of the tactics that you use?
The big one is thinking like an attacker, believe it or not. Yeah. So Raytheon thinks like an attacker, and we implement technologies along those lines. That's the best way, and do things like initiate zero trust, etc. for our customers.
Wait, what is zero trust?
Let me show you down in the GCSC.
Okay.
Welcome to part of the GCSC, the Global Cybersecurity Center.
Why do I feel like this place has seen a lot of secrets? So, all right, tell me about zero trust security.
Sure. Zero trust security is one of the many capabilities that we offer here. And it involves people, processes, and technology. And it's one of the few that I can actually talk to you about.
All right, so methodology. What are some of the main tenets of the methodology?
Sure. There's one where people only have access to the information that they need. So for instance, HR shouldn't have access to detailed schematics from engineering, and the people at facilities should only have access to the HVAC system.
Does anybody else want access to the HVAC system?
They do. So that's the interesting thing. When you get into some of the more non-traditional cyber attacks, you get into the idea that, do I attack a single server, which might be difficult because a lot of servers are patched nowadays, or do I attack the HVAC system where I can take down the entire data center? It's much easier to attack that and take down a bunch of servers in the data center than it is to attack a single server.
I never really thought about that, but it totally makes sense, and it kind of sounds like a movie.
It does.
Speaking of movies, you know, there's always that scene, right, where somebody comes in with their USB thumb drive and they stick it in, and right, like, and you get that sign on your computer screen. Does that actually happen?
It does. So you have a variety of reasons for this happening, right? The USB stick coming in could be malicious or it could be benign, right? It could be somebody bringing something in from a friend at home, looking at pictures, you know, on a corporate network. But there's also the insider threat side, which is somebody's coming in trying to steal, you know, corporate identity information or any kind of information from a corporation. And that's where the zero trust comes in, right? So you verify every piece of technology that's coming in. And that helps to contain the threat. So even if ransomware does happen to get in, it's contained within whatever that person happens to have access to.
Got it. So it's just as much about containment as it is about prevention, because attacks are going to happen.
Exactly. And we talk about dwell time. How long does the attacker stay on the system? Because the longer they're there, the more information they can get.
And what am I looking at right now?
Oh, so these are the undersea cables that make up a huge part of the internet. So as countries get connected on the internet, they connect via these.
All right, and there are a lot of points of vulnerability there.
There are.
Now that I got the basics, is there a way to see this in action?
So funny you should mention that. I believe Dr. Staub is coming in right now. Tamara, let me introduce you to Torsten Staub.
Thank you. Hi, Torsten, it's nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too. Welcome to the Security Operations Center.
So tell me what I'm looking at here on the screens.
So you're looking at our latest generation of cybersecurity tool, which is called Retro CTX. It's a zero trust security platform. It's very modular, highly scalable. Modular in the sense of like a Lego system. You have different building blocks that are focusing on various aspects of an IT operation, whether it's the networks that we're trying to secure, the applications, the users, or the data. So let me show you what that system looks like. So one part of the system is the real-time situational display that you see here. The system continuously monitors computers, applications, and users and networks, and it shows you real-time alerts if someone were to compromise the system, trying to intrude into the system, install ransomware as an example. So you get real-time alerts on the display. The system will then also take automatic...
Wait, you got an alert?
Yeah, so actually that's a great example. So here we have an example where someone was trying to insert an unauthorized USB storage device in a corporate computer. The system detected that in real time, and what this platform now will do in order to secure the system, it'll take multiple steps. It'll execute what we call a cyber playbook. And let me show you what that looks like in this particular case. So in this case, the system will take multiple actions. It'll plug all the USB ports on this laptop to prevent data exfiltration or someone installing unauthorized software such as malware, which could be ransomware. It'll also then automatically isolate this machine from the network to protect any other machines on that network from a potential spread. It'll then also lock down the data on this drive to secure the data in case there's sensitive information on this machine. It'll then disable also the user accounts to prevent someone from taking these accounts and trying to get escalated privileges on other systems. So all of that happens automatically in a matter of milliseconds. I just slowed it down here for demonstration purposes, but the system will take all these steps in the background instantaneously.
So it's a really thorough system. Just to make sure I understand, you mentioned earlier, you compared it to the way a Lego set is modular in design. In this, are the modules, are the building blocks the hardware, the software, the network, or are the building blocks the different technologies you use to protect all of those things?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it's the technologies, the building blocks, because to protect a system which consists of networks, data, applications, users, right, you need to use more than one technology. Unfortunately, there's no one-size-fits-all tool you could install that provides comprehensive coverage. So what this platform is designed to do is take the best-in-class technologies for network security, for application security, user security, data security, and allow us to combine those rapidly and deploy those where we need them.
We've looked at different ways Raytheon Technologies can outsmart attackers and identify anomalies that could cause potential threats. Now it's time to see the future of aerospace and defense in action with the CADS flight simulator. Hi, Amanda.
Hey, Tamara.
Hey.
This is my pilot, Sung.
Hello, hello.
And what I'm going to be showing you today is how we protect airplanes from cyber attack here at Raytheon Technologies. We use our Cyber Anomaly Detection System, or CADS, to monitor all of the communication going on internal to the aircraft for signs of cyber attack. What CADS is going to do, it's going to give Sung information about what's going on, the cyber attack that's happening, so that he can respond and fight through the attack.
So you're talking about an attack that happens in the air while the plane is actually flying.
Yep, that's exactly what we're worried about. A lot of these planes have been built in the 80s, and they have a lot of external facing interfaces like radios and Wi-Fi. These could all be vulnerable to different cyber attacks. So I'm going to go ahead and launch an attack, and Sung is going to see the effects.
Cyber attack via GPS receiver, engine systems affected.
Yes, exactly. So I'm telling him that a cyber attack is what killed his engines, and that it's originating from the GPS receiver. In this instance, he can disable the GPS receiver and his engines will come back online. Without CADS, he'd have no idea why his engine just stopped.
And this is really important because pilots rely so heavily on their instrumentation, right? So if that information they're getting is faulty, you can...
Right, exactly. So that's another thing that could happen, is we could affect the instrument display. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to swap out the Onyx boxes for a box that's got more cyber protection on it, and I'm going to throw another attack, and we'll see how things change.
I'm getting like a little nervous watching all of this.
So now the avionics systems are going to be protected by our additional solutions, Countervail and Boot Shield. And what they'll do is they should mitigate the attack from happening. I tried to launch the attack, but nothing happens. CADS is still seeing me trying to inject something, but the malware is no longer running because it's being blocked by our other protections.
Yeah, okay, so that is the plane that I want to be on.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, thank you so much for flying with me today, or letting me fly with you today. I'm going to head out for a scrimmage now.
Sounds good, no problem.
Thanks again. Is this where the scrimmage is at?
Yes, it is. Come on in.
I'm Tamara. You must be Anisha.
Yes. Welcome to the Code Center. This is our Cyber Operations Development and Evaluation team, and these guys are going at it. They are attacking away at some of the products that we have, trying to find our vulnerabilities. On the screen here, you'll see that they're scanning the environment. They're looking for any place where they can find a hole. So the red dots here signify products that look like they might be a little bit weak and they can break into them. So they're constantly scanning, all the teams trying to collect points. It's a scrimmage. So we use our offensive attackers here to inform our defense so that we know how to protect our products better. We do this as a game just to keep it more interactive.
This kind of reminds me of like the whiteboards that you see during athletic practice where you're looking at each team, trying to find the holes.
Yep, each one of the teammates is here honing in on different products just so they can collect the most number of points for their scrimmage.
How do you know when someone wins?
Well, actually in the scrimmage you do, but in real life it's always an evolving game.
All right, well then I better see what's going on in defense so I have a good understanding of it all. Okay. All right, so this is our defense, our blue team?
Yes, welcome to our blue team, our cyber defenders. As you can see from their screen, they're looking at something a little bit different than what we saw on the red team side. Obviously, for the purposes of the scrimmage, this is dummy data that they're looking at. Ultimately, we're looking at threat actors, where are they looking, what information are they gathering, and basically they're trying to prevent the red team from breaking in. So they are blocking and tackling as best as they can. They're collecting points for their team using whatever products they have at their disposal. But as you can see, it's a lot of information, but it's the best way we can build our products for our customers is ensuring that it's protected.
So this process seems much more evaluative than what was going on the offense side.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're basically scanning the threat horizon and seeing where people are trying to come in from, but it could be from anywhere. So our defenders have to rely on the best techniques that they have out there and best products that we can give them.
So this truly is a game where you kind of want both sides to win.
Well, yeah, I mean, both sides have to put their best foot forward so that we can build better products at the end of the day. And again, in cyber, the landscape is always changing. As you can see, it's constantly evolving.
Well, speaking of landscapes, we are now going to take Julian back to Invention Land so he and George can have a conversation about this. So thank you so much for showing me through.
Oh, you're very welcome.
All right.
How in the world did you get in there?
A little bit of magic.
Good to see you, Julian.
Good to see you too.
Well, I was hoping that you would share with us a little bit about where's cybersecurity going in tomorrow's world.
Sure. Raytheon Intelligence and Space is really at the forefront of cybersecurity solutions. Things like zero trust. We have customers, both domestic and foreign governments, commercial companies, and even other cybersecurity firms.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's because we strive to really cover the last bit. So many traditional cybersecurity firms will cover 80% of the solution, where we cover that last 20%.
Ah, the hard stuff.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's take a look at this screen because I got this image. So I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at here. It's like some kind of a digital mind print or something.
Right, yeah, no, this is about machine learning and artificial intelligence. So cybersecurity, we have tons of data, and we have to sift through that data in order to find the little nuggets, the evil bits, right? And so we use artificial intelligence and machine learning to do that. We have to constantly look at 5, 10 years down the road in order to stay ahead of the threat. The holy grail of cybersecurity is really predictive cyber. And the only way to do that is to look through all of this data. We're looking for those little nuggets, right? Machine learning and artificial intelligence help us get there.
Very nice. Well, it sounds like you have some of the best brains working on this.
We definitely do.
All right, let's take a look at this next one. All right, so I got this image, and I see these two people. I assume they're two super brains working on a project.
Exactly. These are two cybersecurity engineers working on one of our tough problems. It's interesting. We have a huge talent gap within cybersecurity. We're always looking for new people. And really, we've got to start cultivating that way back in colleges. So we're part of the National Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition, for instance.
Great. I mean, that's a great way to, cultivate talent. And we're really into STEM and STEAM around here. Do I need to be an engineer to work in cybersecurity?
No, not at all. And in fact, many of our engineers are, I'd say, unconventional types, right? So we have a sociologist who's an engineering fellow who is involved in cybersecurity.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they bring unique perspectives. And in fact, my boss is actually an environmental scientist.
That makes a lot of sense, because you're looking at the threat from a lot of different directions then, aren't you?
Exactly.
And then we have this screen down here. This Cyberlandia, what is that?
So Cyberlandia is the journey to perfect cybersecurity, which we call Cybertopia. It's an idea that my boss came up with. And the idea is Cybertopia is a world where we're free from cyber attacks. You know, we don't have to worry about anything. And Cyberlandia, of course, is the journey to that.
I see. So the perfect world, which I would love to have for my family and my friends and our business, right?
Exactly.
All these threats are completely disrupting our lives.
They are, and that's why we're developing these advanced technologies like I've shown you. In fact, it's a journey, right? And it's a continuous journey. As cyber threats evolve, you know, we have to come up with better technologies like you've seen here previously.
So that might be a good segue. I got this in from your corporation.
Right, this is a board game that we developed.
Okay.
It's called Cyberlandia. It's the journey to perfect cybersecurity, the Cybertopia that we were just talking about.
That's a good idea. I mean, cybersecurity is such a complex field.
It is.
Boiling it down to a game, that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly, and as you progress on the journey, you'll find out it gets more and more difficult.
A board game to simplify the difficult story of really that cybersecurity is all about.
Exactly, and there's of course a catch to it too.
A catch. Yeah, they like the catch that it never ends, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks, Julia.
Great seeing you.
Good to see you.
Take
Thanks
care.
for coming in.